This is Columbus Concerns, a public affairs presentation of North American Broadcasting. Here's your host, Mark News.
And good morning, and thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning. I'm Mark News. With us today is our guest, the president and CEO of the BBB of Central Ohio, Judy Dollison is here. And Judy, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you. We're happy to be here today.
Well, it is back to school time, and you have a lot to talk about when it comes to back to school and things that parents need to know. And topping the list, at least usually for me, back when my kids were little, was the tax holiday, and we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and it's great this year because it's a much extended time frame, which is wonderful. So from August 1st to August 14th at almost midnight, we will get to take advantage of that tax-free Ohio state tax. So a wonderful opportunity to get that back to school shopping done.
You know, it's interesting because it's not only back to school items, but I had some car repairs done this week, and they said, "Oh, well, there's no state tax on it, so we can take that off."
Right,
so,
and
so
even
that's
food and
fun.
beverage is excluded, so it's great. Yeah, great opportunity.
Yeah. So when it comes to back to school shopping and the things that people need, what are some of the big ticket items that families need that they can take advantage of right now?
Yeah, well, electronics is always a big item and essential anymore for what we see with our students in school. So, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of the tax-free holiday. Plus, BBB always recommends that you just use some basic research whenever you're buying a large ticket item. In this case, to get the tax-free, it's got to be under $500. But whether or not you're taking advantage of that, you want to do your research. You want to know if your item has a warranty. You want to know if there's an exchange policy or return policy, if there's a restocking fee. All of those are really good pieces of information to know when you're going into a large ticket purchase.
And this is when the old way of shopping in person kind of helps, right?
It does, because you can ask those questions. You can try out the items. You can see for yourself what features and benefits they have. So it's really a good idea just to take your time and shop around. And you can also check with bbb.org, a great place to go to check into the retailer that you're buying from to see what type of complaint history and customer reviews that retailer has. So whether or not you're shopping with a trustworthy seller.
If you go the other direction and you're an online shopper, like most people are these days,
yes.
How do you shop wisely and safely online?
Right. So there's lots of information about shopping safely online because it is really the number one way that people are taken advantage of by scammers and bad business practices. So one of the first pieces of information you want to look at is the URL. It should have an HTTPS. That S stands for secure, and you should never put payment information in a site that does not have that S. It is not a secure platform. So big piece of advice. Also, be careful following social media links to retailer sites. What we see a lot with social media links is you could either go to a fake website or an imposter website. You may think you're going to a legitimate seller, a big brand name, but it could be taking you to an imposter site. And if you, again, look at that URL, it may just have a slight misspelling or an extra dash or an extra dot. That's an indication you're not on where you think you are. And of course, if you find yourself in that situation, you want to just exit immediately.
Buyer beware.
Absolutely. And we always say, if the price sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's an old adage, but it really is true.
And I know that one of the tips that you have online, I was looking at your site, buying in bulk. You can save a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And, you can always get friends together and find ways to make, an economy of scale. So great tip.
And you can ask for discounts.
And yes, there's a lot of student discounts available. If you have a student ID or an email address that's, .edu, it never hurts to ask. So you should always, make that a practice. You might be surprised.
With us today is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau, the BBB of Central Ohio. It is Judy Dollison. And tell us the website address again.
Yes, for BBB is very simple. It is bbb.org.
And that gets you to the Central Ohio site as well?
It does. So it's a national site, international actually. We also have locations in Canada. But if you have a geolocation in your computer, it's going to take you to the BBB location that is closest to you. And in this case, it would be Central Ohio.
Back to school time, and everybody's so excited about it, especially the parents.
Yes.
But something that you recently talked about that I have never thought about before, but being safe when sharing back-to-school photos.
Right.
What's going on there?
Yeah, it's such a common practice. We all do it. We all see it where we share our kids' first day of school pictures. And it's a great memory you want to capture. But you should exercise some caution when you do that, because what happens is you may inadvertently share too much detail about your student that could put them at risk for a scammer or a predator. So if you give the school's name or your student's full name, grade level, it may give them just enough information that they could target that student. And we even used some of that information as our own passwords for our bank accounts and our financials.
Sure.
So to have that information shared, you may also be exposing yourself.
It's interesting the things you have to think about these days.
Yeah, and even if you think about it, the picture, if it's the school's in the background or your home address is in the background, your street sign or a park that's nearby, all of those could be just enough that gives a scammer or a predator some information that they shouldn't have.
Well, there's been that trend I've noticed where parents will have their student, maybe an older picture and a newer one, and they literally have a sign with all their vital information on it.
Right, yes. And it's really just, there's a lot of that sharing. You may think you're just sharing to your close network of friends, but that can get out. We know that some of that information can be further shared and exposed. So really, if you are sharing, and you should limit, but think about, keeping that to a close network, checking your privacy settings on your social media accounts so that it is not going out on a public platform, and encourage your network to not reshare it in a public platform.
And then once that happens, then you have to watch out for the phony friend requests coming in.
That's right. And, we know that it can be a friend request from someone you don't know or someone you're not already friends with that and it might not be your friend, or it could even be someone that you're currently connected with. And in that case, it's, someone has maybe hacked your friend's account and they're sending another request. And again, it's not them. So really make sure, it's always a good idea just to pick up the phone, right? If you're suspicious for any reason that the friend is not really who they say they are, just ask.
Yeah, everybody gets those.
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
yes.
I definitely do not know her.
Right.
Yes, I get those all the time. Also, look, getting to the back to school shopping again.
Yeah.
So many people go out, they've got their list in their hand, but they don't go with a budget.
Right.
That's really important.
It is. It's so easy to be swayed by everything that's out there and want to extend your purchases beyond what you're budgeted for. So, we always recommend that you go in with a budget in mind. You, again, do your research. We talk a lot about research at BBB. Do your research and find out where the sales are, where the best prices are, and try to, stick to that budget and that plan and where you're going to shop.
Judy, when we talk about back to school in Central Ohio, we also have to talk back to Ohio State.
I know, that's coming up quickly.
It is coming up quickly, and that big game is coming up, that very first one. And I know that you always have a lot of trouble when it comes to Ohio State tickets and people getting scammed online because, there are no physical tickets anymore. You can't get a paper ticket. You can't go to the stadium and hold up your two fingers and buy two tickets. It doesn't work that way anymore. So talk about some of the problems with buying Ohio State tickets and talk a little bit about how you can protect yourself.
Yeah. So with any big game or concert and anything that is, in the city that's big, scammers are going to tie into that because they are great at seizing opportunities. So, Ohio State football is always big, and so they're going to key in on that like they always do. So what we find is that, again, people are buying tickets that don't exist. So they're following social media links to fake platforms or to other apps that are just literally fake tickets for sale. And sometimes they'll even show you, a digital copy of the ticket. But if you try to redeem the ticket when you get it, if you get it, in many cases you don't ever receive it, you might get to the venue and find out, it's not a valid ticket. So lots to look out for. We always recommend that you buy from the direct venue, if at all possible. In this case, it's Ohio State Buckeyes. But if you can't buy directly from the seller, then you can use a ticket broker, which many of us do. But there's a good resource for that. You can get on bbb.org to vet the ticket broker. You can also get on the National Association of Ticket Brokers, which is a great organization that has a 200% guarantee for any tickets sold from one of their member organizations. So that if you are dealing with someone with that organization, that they are a verified broker and that there's a money back guarantee. There's a great website. It is verifiedticketsource.com to check out if they are members of that National Ticket Brokers Association. But also some other tips just when you're buying tickets. You want to look at the ticket itself before you make that purchase to see the date and the location and the time. Sometimes what we find is the tickets have all that information, but it's different. It's like the wrong venue or the wrong date or the wrong team that they're playing. So verify that all the details match or that there are details. Sometimes there aren't details, which is another red flag. Again, always use a credit card to make an online purchase because there's additional recourses that you have with a credit card through a financial institution versus a Venmo or a PayPal where you're going through a peer-to-peer platform. They don't have quite as much recourse if there is scam or fraud with that purchase.
Same thing goes for a debit card, correct?
Yes, that's right. A debit card is really the same as cash. It's an immediate withdrawal from your account. So that credit card has that built-in time lag and a little bit more protection to take additional recourse if you need to.
I think most of the entities now, like Ohio State or maybe the Blue Jackets or whomever, they have sort of a secondary ticket seller mechanism when it comes to their websites.
Yes. And that's a great option because then again, you're on that original ticket seller's platform, which is a really good place, if at all possible, to be on that.
And again, bbb.org, you can get lots of tips there and just find out ways of whether or not your ticket seller is good or not.
Yeah, absolutely. The bbb.org has a directory of hundreds of thousands, millions of businesses in the country, but over 65,000 here in Central Ohio. And it's a great source to verify a business that you're working with, whether it's a ticket broker or any type of business. You can get on bbb.org, type in the name of the company or the industry, type in the location where the business is located, and you'll pull up a business profile that will give you a lot of information and a letter rating about the company based on BBB standards.
Judy Dollison is here, and she is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Central Ohio, giving us lots of great tips. And as we approach fall, it's hard to believe it's already here, but not only back to school, but back to college. And a lot of people are buying that Ohio State merchandise this time of year,
Yes.
But there's a problem when it comes to counterfeit merchandise. Talk about why that's a problem for the buyer.
Right. Just like with any online online seller, there's an opportunity to get counterfeit merchandise. And we see it again with those links in social media, take you to a website, looks like a legitimate company. It actually isn't. It's a counterfeit company. They're only selling you counterfeit items. So, you've put they're typically, high-end items that you're paying for an authentic piece of merchandise and even a signed piece of merchandise, and you may get a counterfeit knockoff or not something that's legitimate. You also need to check out AutoPen. Some will, if you want to have a signed item, you really need to read the details to see if that is a actual signed item versus an AutoPen. And a legitimate company will tell you if it's not, and you can make your decision accordingly. But it is another layer that you need to watch out for.
And things are so hard to tell the difference anymore when it comes to
it
real and
is,
fake.
right?
For just about everything.
For everything. And again, just some of those same online shopping tips are good when you're looking at, the sports memorabilia. You want to have that HTTPS. You want to do your research. Again, these are typically, more expensive items. And if you're buying an authentic memorabilia, you want to make sure you're dealing with a reputable seller. So go to bbb.org and do your research.
Well, as long as we're talking about the Buckeyes, let's go ahead and do one more topic, and that is predatory towing practices.
Yes.
Now, that can happen on game day. That can happen just about any time. What are predatory towing practices, and what are some parking tips?
Yeah, so we know that there are towing services out there that look for opportunities to take advantage of cars that may not be parked in the right place, or cars that are parked. They just are looking for opportunity. So there are state laws around towing practices, and with this, we know that towing companies have to have signage. A parking lot that has a towing has to have signage, and a towing company has to have approval to tow within a parking lot where they are towing from. So you want to really check the signage when you're parking somewhere. It's always best to know where you're going to park in advance, right? Plan ahead, kind of have an idea, go early, get the situation set up right to begin with. But if you find yourself in that situation, if you're parking somewhere unfamiliar, really look around, because a legitimate towing opportunity must have signage posted. If you do find yourself being towed, there are state laws that govern the maximum towing fees and the timeliness where your car needs to be released. So if you're in that situation, familiarize yourself with those laws, because we also see on the other end of it, even if it was a legitimate tow, that they kind of hold your car ransom for more fees than what they should be charging, or for a longer period than what they should be charging. So take photos if you're in a situation. Take the photos of the signage so that you can prove what the situation was, and again, know those laws so you can defend yourself.
Do you have the maximum towing fees posted on your website? Can people
We
look
do.
that up?
There's a lot of more detail about the specifics, and there's higher revised code that outline the specifics of it as well.
So bbb.org, and another reason to go there.
Yes.
And okay, let's talk. I know there's some interest right now in QR code scams. QR codes absolutely everywhere. We're always snapping up those QR codes, but what are the scams?
Well, interestingly, parking again. We also see QR codes around parking, this time with meters. So a parking meter that is a legitimate, maybe parking meter, sometimes we have scammers put fake QR codes over top of the meter.
Oh.
Maybe there is a real QR code there, but they put one over top of it, and it goes to a fake scam website where they're just capturing your credit card information and your payment. So not only may you get a ticket from the legitimate service because you didn't pay them, but you're also compromising your credit card number, and you're paying money to a scammer. Mm-hmm. We see it, though. It can be such a variety of things, though. We even see it with a menu in a hotel room. A QR code, we all see, the in-room purchase menus in hotel rooms. Well, we have scammers that are going around creating menus for a restaurant that they don't have any affiliation with, putting a QR code. So when you go in and place your order, you put in your credit card information, you don't get the order. And again, you've paid money to the scammer.
Wow.
So really just any opportunity, whether it's a direct mail piece or, a parking ticket could even be a QR code scam. So you really have to watch out for the situation that you're in. There's really many ways that scammers can take advantage using QR codes.
And send you to a phishing site.
Right. That's really where this all goes. It's taking you to a website that is fake and just looking for that information, sometimes even more so than just your credit card. I mean, they could ask you for, if it's like a parking ticket, maybe they ask you for your driver's license or your social security number, and then you're really compromising your identity, which could lead to not just short-term, loss of that payment. It could lead to long-term identity theft.
Well, I was talking recently with someone from the DMV, and they were very concerned because there was a major scam going around where people were getting texts saying that, your license was compromised. We need this information. We need this money. We need a payment, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And it was a really big problem in Ohio.
Yes, we saw that with also the toll roads. Same kind of situation.
Yes.
They are both usually texts. They want you to follow that link on that text, and we say frequently, any unsolicited link, whether it's a text, an email, a social media ad, don't follow it. If you think it might be real, if you think you really have, a problem with your driver's license or a toll road, call an independent number that you've verified as the true source of that, whatever the situation is, and make sure that it's really, a true situation. Just don't follow the links. That is the number one piece of advice, I think, with all these texts is independent verification with the source that you know is true.
I know that my daughter was on a toll road, but then she received one of these fake ones, and so she looked up the number it came from, and it said, this is commonly associated with scams. So that's another way you can check.
Right, and you can look. I received one myself, and it was from a person's name at a Gmail account. Now, a legitimate government agency is not going to be sending from an individual's name at a Gmail account. So you can look at that, who the sender is. It's always good when you encounter those to block it, report it as spam. Scammers are great at reinventing. They just go on to the next email, next phone number. They even can fake caller ID. So don't rely on those caller IDs that look like, it's from a legitimate source. All of that can be faked, and they do move on, but it's still good to block it and notify when you can.
We're talking with the president and CEO of the BBB of Central Ohio, Judy Dollison, and thanks so much for coming by. It's really good information. When it comes to your website, bbb.org, I know there's a lot of good information on there, and especially if you're getting ready to make a major purchase.
Right.
At least that seems to be usually when I go there.
Yeah.
When I'm making a major purchase or I'm looking for a contractor or something like that.
Right.
You can go on there, and it's just a wealth of information.
Yes, we have. I mentioned hundreds of thousands here in Central Ohio. 65,000 businesses in our directory. Some of those businesses are accredited with the Central Ohio BBB, and some are not, but there's still a lot of information about the businesses. We give letter ratings, we give histories of complaints and reviews, but we just give a lot of information about the business as much as we know about just the types of services they offer, the service area that they cover, and more. So great place to start when you're looking for any kind of service or product to just do your research.
And talk a little bit about how you go about evaluating businesses.
Yeah, so BBB has an accreditation process. So what we do is when a business is interested in joining BBB, we do a vetting process of that business, and it includes just looking into the background of the business. And we have 8 standards of trust that BBB uses to hold businesses accountable. So it's some very basic good business practices like honoring promises and safeguarding privacy, building trust, and responding to customers' complaints and reviews. So if a business has a great history, background, and going through the vetting process, and they're willing to make that commitment, and it is an ongoing commitment, we do hold businesses accountable to that, then they become a member of BBB.
And talk about, I know when you go on the site, you can look at the different businesses, and some of them have that seal on there that says accredited, and some don't. Yet some of the ones that don't still have high ratings.
Right.
So talk about what's the difference there.
Yeah, so accreditation means that they have accepted these standards, and again, that BBB will hold them accountable. There are some business benefits that go along with being accredited. We offer a lot of resources to our members. We offer some resources to non-members as well. But for the consumer, they have that added knowledge that the business has committed to these standards, that BBB will hold them accountable, and that it is just that added assurance that they're working with a business that has been more thoroughly vetted because we have more information when they become accredited.
How is the BBB of Central Ohio associated with the national organization?
Yeah, so there are 91 BBBs across North America, United States and Canada, and we all have the same policies and procedures and how we go about accrediting businesses. We are just local branches that are here in the local communities because we're here to support businesses and consumers. We really, the mission of the BBB is to be a trusted resource that is building a community where buyers and sellers can trust each other and have honest working relationships. So we're here to help facilitate that, to provide the resources and education. We're happy to do interviews like this because it gives us an opportunity to talk to consumers about, some scams that happen in the neighborhood. And what we know is with every dollar that's lost to a scammer is a dollar that's not being spent with an honest local business. And we want that, we want that honest exchange of in the marketplace. So we're really, we love being able to be part of these types of interviews because it's really an opportunity to talk about the value that BBB brings to Columbus.
If somebody has a problem with a business, how can you help?
Well, we take complaints and customer reviews all the time. You can submit those online or through our great customer service staff. But what we do is we are kind of a third-party intermediary, right? We try to facilitate and exchange a conversation. It's part of one of our 8 standards is to have a conversation. So it's not taking a side. It's not saying, the consumer's right or the business is right. We just want to have that conversation to try to seek resolution, and we will act as that third party intermediary to try to form that resolution, and we will help through mediation and arbitration with some of our external partners if it needs to go to that level. But it's really us just trying to make sure that we reach a resolution that is best for both the business and the consumer.
Well, we've gotten a wealth of information today, not only about back-to-school season, but about some scams and the BBB in general. So we'd like to thank our guest, the president and CEO of the BBB of Central Ohio, Judy Dollison, has been our guest today. And Judy, thanks so much, and we look forward to having you back on the program again.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thanks for listening to Columbus Concerns, a public affairs presentation of North American Broadcasting. You can send questions or comments about today's show to Columbus Concerns in care of this station, 1458 Dublin Road, Columbus 43215. Or email us at columbusconcerns@napcomedia.com.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is gonna help somebody, I'm all for it. I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth. A message from Truth, the Ad Council, and ONDCP.
Has your child swallowed your medicine, your laundry detergent, your nail polish remover? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you inhaled paint thinner, glue, pesticides? Call the Poison Helpline. Have a question about a dose, a fume, something your kid just drank? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Some say e-cigarettes aren't dangerous.
But science shows nicotine can harm teens' developing brains.
No matter how they're exposed.
Let's do an experiment to find out.
Here's a teen who won't be using e-cigarettes.
Now we need one willing to risk their brain development.
Anyone care to volunteer your kid?
Anyone?
Your kids are not an experiment. Protect them from e-cigarettes.
Shortness of breath, patient's confused, temp 102.
He just had an infection. What's going on?
He's becoming septic.
Antibiotics started. Bed ready, let's move him.
Infections can lead to a deadly chain reaction in your body called sepsis. Very quickly, sepsis can cause tissue damage, organ failure, and even death. If you know the risks, can spot the symptoms, and act fast, then you can get ahead of sepsis. Learn more at cdc.gov/sepsis.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.